No, this is not a silent video. Thought I'd give you a little bit of a taste of back garden living. I'll come out here some mornings and I'll just take a silent tour through the garden. So that I can kind of get deep breaths in. So I can get my mind centered for the start of a new day, going to work and dealing with work pressures. Or just any everyday stress. And here it is, Saturday morning. It's April the 4th. My grandson's birthday is today. But he is in Kansas, so we don't get to see him. But you come out, you get oriented with your day. Okay, on with the garden. I showed you the strawberry. It's really filling out its area here. We also have some possible fruit coming in. I don't know. Right now, I think maybe a lot of the effort is going into securing property for the plants so that it can stretch out and, have more offshoots to be able to produce more fruit. Now here you could see that the parsley, when it gets older, tends to shoot up a major thick rod from it. And that's kind of when you know, it's going to go into its producing seed mode. What I would tend to do is go back here on that one stem and then just snap it off. Because really you're not wasting too much there. And then hopefully it will say, oh, that's missing, so I don't need to do that now. We'll see. That's an experiment. Let's see. I'm not too sure, and that's life in a garden. Not everybody knows everything. Some people know a lot. Some people just start out. I mean, I've got a little bit of knowledge that my mom gave me growing up and from other YouTube videos that I've looked at. But that's going to be what gardening is for you. Get to know your plants. And a lot of times you're going to make decisions and you learn if it fails or not. Case in point, my 3-year-old jalapeno plants and the 2 green bell peppers. And you can see right here how the leaves curl up. And that was my fault. How is it my fault? Well, the plant was doing fine to begin with, but the soil around it had not been touched for, let's see, we put it out in 2023, so we're going on 3 years now. So when I was adding manure over here to kind of help with the growth, you can see we've got beets coming up there, and there was a patch over there. But there's nothing in between. So I'm not quite sure what became of that. So I took a bunch of manure and I just threw it right in here and spread it around. Well, the plant, I don't think, liked it very much. And you can do that. You can over fertilize and you literally choke out the plant, or you can burn it at the roots because there's just, too much nitrogen or too much of a phosphorus or whatever you're trying to put in your raised garden bed. So, you learn. I learned don't dump manure. If you want to add manure, that's fine. Just a little bit will do it. This needs to be trimmed down. It's getting gigantic. Another thing that I'm working on, and this video is turning out to be do's and don'ts, which is good. But also I hope that it provides encouragement too. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to learn what works. It's okay to not know everything, but give it a try. If it doesn't work out, you learn something. Next time you're not going to do it, and that's going to benefit your garden. Here's another case in point. You see all the radishes and you go, oh wow, look at that. We're going to have a lot of radishes. But I'm noticing that it's doing it again. We actually planted these deeper. But there's a lot of these that are sticking out, and you see there's a lot of the root right there that's just exposed over here and here. And so this area right in here is where it's supposed to be attempting to form a bulb for the radish, but yet they're poking out. So I was talking to my mom about that, and we both came to the conclusion that it's probably the soil. And you can see here that the soil is mainly made up of the top soil that you kind of put down as kind of like a mulch. And I think what's happening is the root's not able to go down and penetrate into the soil well enough, so it grows from where we planted it up. So it's not going down, it's kind of pushing itself out. So after we have these radishes run its course, I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to take a lot of this topsoil out and put actual gardening soil in it. The gardening soil hopefully will allow the root system to burrow its way down and get a better grasp than pushing practically the whole plant out of the the raised garden bed. Now there's some of these that look like they're going to maybe do something. We were fortunate enough for the roots to stay in the ground. But again, it's something that you learn and you adapt. And then next year you figure out the secret, and then you're able to have good harvest after that. So follow along. Again, I'm doing videos of my gardens from each year, from spring to summer, and then summer to, or fall to winter. So when we do another batch, let's see how well it turns out. Okay. This is going to be amazing. Look at those pepper plants. Remember how small they looked when they were planted? And that was March 1st, and now we're April 4th. And just over a matter of a month, they've gotten really huge. Now you'll see that we're starting to get some blossoms on it. Which is pretty neat. Here's one over here. Don't know if you can see it. Trying to do this by the phone. So again, these are orange ones and these are green ones. So let's see what happens with those. And then the beans, look how big those are getting. Pretty amazing stuff. And then over here was the guy that's on his own. And then we have the marigolds. Now I think I have a dust allergy, because when I come out here in the mornings, or actually any time, my nose starts wanting to run, and then I really sound like I'm raspy when I talk, so I apologize for that, but I think a lot of it's due to the allergies that are in the air. Here's eggplant. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of those pop on here soon. Always like to show the blossoms. I'm not getting good views of those. Here's some. Here's our cherry tomato. It's surviving, it's climbing. Again, I'm going to reach back here and pull ever so gently the branch in between so it stays in our cage area. We'll tuck that in a little bit. And this over here is really sticking out. And see, we've got almost gone past, you know, I don't want to snap it. Just be gentle with it. There we go. Push that in. Push that in. Now, if it gets too long, but you want to keep it still going up your trellis, I've got plastic. What is that, George? We've got tomatoes. Yay! GG's. Anyway, let's go back. Again, you can tuck in. Make sure that it's within your gate area. Cool. Same treatment over here. Just push those in. Okay. What I was saying before where I cut us off when I saw the tomatoes is I have plastic clips. So if you have a big limb that comes out that you couldn't get in, you could always bring it back to your cage and then clip the limb with that plastic clip to it. So you don't want it all branching out, but you can train it back and then clip it with a plastic clip. So I've got tons of those in case we need it. I'm going to come back and take a picture of that. That's exciting. Surprising. This kind of tells me that it's not a determinate, that it's actually a determinate or indeterminate plant. Determinate and indeterminate, you're going to see that on your plants, especially when they're talking about tomato plants. I'm going to put the official definition in my in the description show more section of this video. So when you're done seeing it, you can go and click on show more down where there's the description of the video. We'll talk more about dependent and independent varieties. But basically, determinate. See, I even get confused with the names. Indeterminate means that they can produce fruit throughout the whole growing cycle. Determinate means, okay, it's going to go and grow and concentrate on maturing, and then it's going to produce your fruit all at the end for a complete harvest. So that's important because let's say you want to can your fruit. Well, you can't really can your fruit if you're only getting your fruit little bits at a time throughout its growing period. So what they'll tell you is if you want to can, go for a variety that's going to mature and then produce the fruit, all the fruit at one time. Then you can harvest all that fruit, and then that's when you can it and you put it up in your canning jars or you freeze it, but everything becomes ready at one time. Then here's the zucchini, and look in here. Yeah, look all the blooms in the morning. Beautiful sight. You can see down here where we're starting to get zucchinis. And you guys remember what this looked like a month ago. These were transplants that were maybe that big. So I was really worried about us going into the higher temperatures. But now things have cooled off a little bit. We're back down to reasonable period of its growth pattern. And I think what it did was it warmed up the soil and it woke up the growth cycle for all of these plants. And that's pretty neat. Here we go. Here's some more. So I would say hopefully we'll be having some zucchini here soon. Can't wait. Here again is the jalapenos. I'm getting a bunch of jalapenos. I need to go through and weed out some of these older ones. See, with these jalapenos, they'll get green, but if you keep them on longer, they tend to turn red or kind of like a dark chocolate milk color. But I usually love to pick these when they're longer and fatter, but I think because of my mistake of trying to fertilize it with the manure, kind of is producing all these small stubby jalapenos. Now what I did was I took a lot of the manure and I kind of raked it to the side. Then I've been watering it really well to hopefully wash some of that manure down deeper in the soil so it won't impact these as much, but we'll see. Again, Swiss chard, need to cut it back. Probably going to get some scissors and just trim it back and have my mom clean those and prepare them. Now here's amazing. Welcome to our cauliflower. If you go back and look at some of my earlier videos, those things were smaller, a lot smaller. But look how much they've grown. And what's amazing is when you go and you look in the center of these. Let's try to find. They're not well defined yet for the cauliflower. They may require a little bit longer before you see it. Yeah, it's not prominent yet on the cauliflower where the head's growing. We'll come back to that. Here's some of the deal that we broadcasted out. But here, look at the broccoli. It's starting to form the head in the inside of the broccoli. Now I'm new to the broccoli and the cauliflower, and you can see here cauliflower, I'm not getting as much holes in the leaves, but over here you'll see where these are getting snacked on. I don't see a worm, so the best I can think of is that there are bugs that come out at nighttime. We do have crickets. And I haven't seen grasshoppers yet. I'm not too worried about it because there's still a lot more of the leaves that help produce the nutrients for what we're really after, which is this guy here. So we'll see. If we don't get much out of this, I won't be disheartened because really, this should be a crop that's for the winter months. So the fall to the winter, because they're cold crops. Kind of like your cabbage is. And those are better, maybe during that season. But they were selling them, so I thought, oh, okay, if they're selling them, then maybe we'll give it a try. And again, that goes back to, you don't know unless you try, and if you fail, you really don't fail. You've learned something, and so that's success. Anyway, make it a great day.